Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Mr. Action back at you with another episode of Packed In Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. And on today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at my personal top 10 favorite Marvel Legends of the year 2024. And with all the recent heat that Hasbro has been dropping as of lately, it was very difficult for me to come up with my top 10 picks, but luckily I was able to pick them so that way I could present this video for you guys today. Now again, this list is going to be based off of my personal top 10 favorites, so it's not going to be based on, the sales records or any stats of the figures or anything like that. Now that being said, some of the rules are going to be as follows. So this top 10 list is going to only consist of the comic versions of the characters, so unfortunately, if you were hoping that there were going to be any MCU figures, this is not going to be the video for it. And secondly, I was also going to allow minor modifications to the figures, just to kind of help bring out the figure a little bit, as long as it doesn't change the figure, drastically. Well, I mean, of course we want the figures to be changed drastically, but you get what I'm saying. So with that being said, we're gonna go right ahead and get into this top 10 list. But before we do that, I'm gonna ask you guys for a quick favor. Please like and subscribe, as it tremendously helps out my channel and the YouTube algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Number 10. Coming in at number 10, we got your boy King T'Challa, the Black Panther, coming straight from out of Wakanda. And I know that this selection might be a bit of a controversial one, as we did have a similar iteration of this figure that was released, a part of the Wakanda Forever wave. And to be quite fair, that figure actually was a pretty solid one. So to see that we were going to get a similar iteration of this figure, but in the black and gold this time, I was pretty excited to hear about it, especially since I was a huge fan of the black and gold version that Marvel Legends had released when they were underneath Toy Biz. So to see that we were going to get this figure, I was super excited. It was a bit short-lived though, unfortunately, because straight out of the box, some of the gold that was being advertised on the figure was a bit lackluster. It was very flat in a lot of places, so I did take the liberty to get the metallic gold paint and paint some gold on there, and to invest in a wired cape just to add to the dynamic posability of the figure. Once you do get that wired cape, man, it's really amazing how much more dynamic it makes the figure and how much more you can do with it. Black Panther is definitely one of those agile characters, so it's important for him to be able to move. The big heavy plastic cape that he had before just wasn't working, it wasn't doing it. So I'm very happy that I invested in this figure, and I feel like there are also other things that you can add on to this figure that will help really bring it out. And some of those things are going to be some of the spears. If you happen to have any of the Dora Milaje laying around, you can definitely grab one of those spears. I do believe that the Walmart exclusive Black Panther actually did come with the spear, so as to why this one only came with a pair of fists as the accessory was really a missing point. So apart from the spear, another thing that you can add to it are going to be a pair of gripping hands, obviously, to hold the spear. I do find that the Killmonger from the Black Panther MCU figures actually do have the black and gold, so it does fit with that color scheme going there for you, so you can get gripping hands from there. And as well, if you happen to have a blue Marvel laying around, you can definitely use the head sculpt as a unmasked head sculpt, as I do feel like that really works for our T'Challa here. So I definitely feel like if you add those accessories along with painting over that cheap McDonald's gold that comes straight out of the box, and you invest in a wired cape, I actually think you come up with a very, very solid Black Panther. So very happy to own this, man. Number 9. And coming in at number 9, we got Lonnie Thompson Lincoln, also known as Tombstone. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, this figure kind of crept up on me. I wasn't really expecting it to like it as much as I did. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I wasn't expecting it to be on my top 10 list either. But after picking it up, especially after watching the Spectacular Spider-Man, because I honestly feel like Keith David, who's also the voice actor of Spawn, the HBO series, he did such a phenomenal job of bringing the character to life for me personally. Prior to that, I always just kind of saw Tombstone as like, your typical stereotypical mob boss, but with how Keith David portrayed him, man. He did a phenomenal job, and I got the figure. And you know, I didn't really know how to feel about it, but after having it in hand, I really like the detail of the head sculpt. I really feel like the digital printing that Hasbro has been doing has been really good, because it really captures, you know, the personality of Tombstone, like especially the attention to detail with the teeth. And I really like the size that they put on this guy. You know, when I think of Tombstone, I think of, you know, somebody who's big and somebody who's imposing. When you see them, you know, you feel intimidated, and I really feel like Hasbro really captured that with this release of this Tombstone.
Number 8.
And coming in at number 8, we got your boy Tony Stark, aka the Iron Man, from the Iron Man Retro Card Collection. And honestly, when I saw the promotional images of this figure, I was really super excited to see that we were going to be getting this iteration of this Model 20 suit, as it is one of my favorite suits from Iron Man. Unfortunately, my excitement was a bit short-lived when I saw that agonizing waist cut in the middle of the diaphragm, which was really a bummer. Now, just because we have that nasty waist swivel line in the middle that causes that gap, I did find that, you know, because this figure does lack a lot of line paint work, you know, a lot of people did come around and they actually took a black Gundam pen and filled out the rest of the line work, which I also took suit and did as well. And I came to find out that, you know, when you actually do fill in the line work with a black pen, it actually helps blend in that nasty waist articulation cut in the figure, in my personal opinion. And you know, one of the other things that I really feel like this figure really implemented well was the neck and head articulation. You know, it is two separate pieces. At the top of the head, it is on a ball peg and a hinge, but the neck itself can actually be detached from the body, and it is actually attached to the body by a ball peg. So I definitely do like the attention to detail. I do like the fact that Hasbro is experimenting a little bit more with their articulation. Unfortunately for this figure, the waist articulation was a big eyesore for a lot of people that prevented this figure from, you know, being a lot higher regards. And I feel the same way. So, you know, if that waistline was not there, I definitely feel like it would be a lot higher. As well as, you know, the minor problems that, you know, we did have with the hands. You know, the hands were not going to be able to be articulated all the way up due to the design. But again, you know, there are minor mods that you can do to fix those, but you know, still a very solid figure indeed. If you happen to see one in the wild, definitely grab one and pick it up. It's definitely a great solid figure.
Number 7.
And coming at you at number 7, we got the hero for hire, the power man himself, Luke Cage. And I was super excited when I heard about this figure, especially knowing that it was coming a part of a 2-pack that included Iron Fist. And Hasbro definitely knocked it out of the park with this Luke Cage, man. You know, when I think of Luke Cage, I think of, you know, a huge, imposing black guy just ready to duke it out, man, just ready for whatever. And I definitely feel like Hasbro definitely executed, you know, the essence of this Luke Cage. You know, I really like the accessories that this 2-pack did come with. You know, with this Luke Cage, he also did come with an alternative head. And, you know, it does show a lot of emotion. And I had a lot of fun, man, just posing him up in my photography and just taking pictures, man, and just getting different emotions and just different feels and vibes for the characters, man. And I definitely do like the fact that he also did come with, you know, an alternative set of hands, so that way, you know, we can get some versatile poses. You know, I really enjoyed this figure. However, you know, just like, you know, because I am a reviewer, I am going to critique figures nonetheless, even if it's in my top 10. But I really do wish that, you know, this figure did implement a diaphragm swivel up top as well as the ab crunch. I do feel like we would have gotten a lot more, you know, range of motion. Actually, I would have probably preferred the diaphragm as opposed to the ab crunch. But again, you know, with that ab crunch, you are able to get some really nice deep crunches. So, you know, I guess it is going to be a trade-off nonetheless. But apart from that, man, this figure is a very solid figure indeed, man. And I really, really, really like it, especially, you know, the 2 fists with his name on it. And, you know, I really like that it's clear, you know, you can actually read it. And I do like the fact that it is painted in a metallic gold, man. man. You know, I'm very happy that Hasbro didn't cheapen out, you know, when they were, you know, paying attention to the detail, you know, with that, man. Overall, a very solid figure indeed, man. So at number 7,
Luke Cage. Number 6.
And coming in at number 6, you already knew it was coming. The hero for hire, Danny Rand, also known as the Iron Fist. And I was really excited to know that this was a part of a 2-pack that was coming with that Luke Cage. I really like the amount of accessories that came with this Iron Fist. I believe that this is probably the most accessories for an Iron Fist figure that we've actually had. You know, despite the fact that it's a part of a 2-pack, I don't think there's any you know, solo releases of Iron Fist where it has this amount of accessories. And I think that, you know, that speaks, you know, volumes for this figure, for the love of it. And I really like, you know, the amount of hands, you know, especially that, you know, Iron Fist is, you know, very versatile in various different, you know, martial arts. So very important that he was, you know, to come with all of those different hands. One of the great things with this figure that I think Hasbro really implemented really well was just the articulation, man. You know, I definitely feel like, you know, because Danny Rand is such a agile character, it was very important that we got a body mold that was going to be reflective of that. And I definitely do feel like the choice in the body mold of this Iron Fist was absolutely superb. Unfortunately, it does have some minor drawbacks because there is no waist cut in the, you know, on the waist portion of the figure. Unfortunately, when you do rotate the upper diaphragm to get him posed up, it is going to break the illusion or the sculpting of his design, unfortunately. But honestly, in my personal opinion, you know, that's something that is minor. I really do hope that Hasbro really starts implementing ball-waisted joints so that way we can get the best articulation as far as range of motion. Speaking of articulation, one of the things that I think that this figure really did very well too as well is that added toe articulation, man. That toe articulation can really help bring out, you know, the posability factors in posing your figure, man. And I'm just overall very pleased with this Iron Fist that Hasbro has released. Definitely something to really, you know, crave about.
Number 5.
And coming in at number 5, we got Jennifer Suzanne Walters, the attorney at law, also known as She-Hulk. And when I saw that we were going to be getting a classic iteration of She-Hulk, man, that I'm familiar with in the comics, I was super excited, practically jumping up and down in my seat, if you will. You know, figure is definitely one that I had to absolutely get. And when I got it, I was thoroughly pleased, man. Just the size of the figure, man, is overall imposing. It definitely captures the overall mass and the behemoth of She-Hulk and who she is as a person. And I definitely really do like that head sculpt that came with this figure, man. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, that smile that she has is just so infectious, and I feel like it really brings out the, you know, the personality and the character of Jennifer, you know what I'm saying? And just the head sculpt, you know, the hair, you know, I like the green shading to it, man. It is a very well artistically put together figure. Now, I do wish that we did have an alternative head. You know, we are talking about She-Hulk after all. So in my personal opinion, it would have been, you know, a very great opportunity if we would have gotten a angry head sculpt, you know, to come along with this figure. But apart from that, man, I think that this figure definitely checks a lot of boxes. I definitely feel like it captures the essence and the energy of Jennifer Walters, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially with that digital print in the face, man. I really can't get over how nice and just how much of, you know, it captures her character and personality. Overall, a very solid figure, man. Very happy to own it. Very happy to have it. So at number 5, She-Hulk.
Number 4.
And coming in at number 4, we got Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. And honestly, this was one of those figures that I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to get my hands on, especially with Across the Spider-Verse that was just released the previous year before. And because that was such a box office hit, and Ben Reilly was one of those characters that happened to appear in the film, I definitely knew that when he was announced that he was going to be a heavily sought after figure. So when I was at Target and I seen that he was literally the last one on the peg stand, I snatched them up so fast, man. I was so happy that I was able to grab him. The experience of taking him out of the packaging, one of the biggest questions that I had initially was because I saw that, his hoodie was a, soft plastic as opposed to soft goods. I was very curious to see if it was going to hinder the articulation, and to my surprise, as well as to many of your surprise as well, we learned that that plastic hoodie did not hinder the articulation at all, which I think, for Hasbro's sakes, is phenomenal that they were able to pull this off. Now, I kind of do wish that we did get a another version where we could actually pull up the hoodie or find some kind of way to implement that, but I think that for what this figure is, I think that Hasbro definitely nailed it out the park, especially when I was taking a look at some of the other competitors out there. So one of the other figures that I was also taking a look at when getting a Scarlet Spider was the Mafex Ben Reilly. And Mafex generally has a good reputation for their figures. The Marvel Legends, to me, the Marvel Legends just completely blew the Mafex out of the water, which honestly, considering the price point for Marvel Legends, it was kind of quite embarrassing to me, in my honest opinion. But this is the definition of Hasbro definitely putting their foot in the pot when it comes down to producing their figures, man. I definitely kind of do wish that we could have had a soft goods hoodie, but then again, Marvel Legends doesn't really do that. Every now and then we might actually get to see it implemented more. Like I do know with that new Cabal 3-pack with the Doctor Doom, I do know that there is a soft goods, and we also did have the soft goods with the Beast as well. But for whatever reasons, we got the soft plastic. It still works, so still a very phenomenal figure at the end of the day. Very pleased to have this Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider. Very happy that I was able to pick it up. Very happy that I bought it, because sometimes we have buyer's remorse, or what I call the opposite, not buying it and then regretting later that we didn't buy it. So at number 4, Scarlet Spider.
Number 3.
And coming in at number 3, we got Victor Creed, also known as Sabertooth. And this is a figure that a lot of people were patiently waiting to get a updated figure for. And honestly, it was worth the wait. Hasbro decided that they were going to give us a more accurately sized Sabertooth that is on the Omega Buck body, which was the body that a lot of people originally previously wanted this Sabertooth to be on, but for whatever reason we ended up getting the Apocalypse Wave version of Sabertooth that was just honestly too small. It wasn't a bad Sabertooth at all in any sense of the word. It was just that, the sizing of him was just a little bit on the smaller scale. But to see that we did get this updated version of Sabertooth, I know so many people were excited and super happy to finally, get their hands on a more accurately sized Sabertooth. This figure definitely checked a lot of boxes for a lot of people, with the sizing and even, with the alternative head. I definitely do feel like, the digital printing on this figure is definitely something that really stands out a lot. I remember when people started to see the promotional images, that was actually one of the first things, was the head sculpts that people were talking about. Hasbro has definitely been stepping it up with their digital printing, man, and on this figure it is of no exception. This figure is definitely one that you have to get your hands on. Unfortunately, this figure was released a part of a 2-pack, so that means that it was locked, and you had to also get that, that cowboy Logan, which, you know, to a lot of people, they honestly didn't want that figure, but to be quite honest, it's not really a bad figure. You know, it's actually pretty cool if you actually, you know, take the time to kind of mess with it. But we all know why we got that 2-pack. Every single one of you got that 2-pack because you wanted to get your hands on that Sabertooth, and Hasbro definitely did deliver on giving us an exceptionally well Sabertooth. I kind of do wish that, similarly to how they also updated the Venom body by also giving him the ab crunch with the addition of the diaphragm swivel, I kind of do wish that we also did get it on this figure, but that is a minor nitpick. I still think all in all that this is a very solid figure, and that's why I chose Sabertooth to be my number 3.
Number 2.
And following behind Victor Creed is Weapon X himself, Wolverine. And guys, I was super excited when I heard the announcement that Hasbro was going to be releasing this astonishing Wolverine, especially when I saw the promotional images along with it, and I had seen that we were going to be getting an updated body with that diaphragm swivel along with that ab crunch combination, man. And I was super excited to know that we were going to be getting this iteration of Wolverine, as the previous astonishing Wolverine that we had was actually released by Toy Biz, if I'm not mistaken. I do know that the Heated Claw Wolverine was pretty close as far as, you know, aesthetic wise, but, you know, as far as the official astonishing Wolverine, this would actually be, you know, the replacement or the upgrade for that Toy Biz version. So very excited to know that we did get, you know, an upgraded figure along with a new body. Now I know that because we did get a new body, one of the problems that was presented was that this Wolverine actually was a little bit bigger than the previous Wolverines in the past, which was a bit of a concern because, you know, a lot of us like to have Wolverine short, you know, especially in the comic universe. You know, in the MCU, fine, we can have Hugh Jackman. He plays his role very well. Way too tall to play, you know, Wolverine, fight me. I don't care what you say. He still plays the role really well. But, you know, I'm more accustomed to my Wolverine being short. Luckily, when I did, you know, get this Wolverine and I did, you know, do some size comparisons, I did find that he was still relatively shorter than, you know, his counterparts that he's supposed to be shorter than. So I was very pleased to know that, you know, we got this very well aesthetically, you know, sculpted figure, man. I would honestly say that this is probably perhaps the best Wolverine figure from Hasbro that we've gotten, hands down, and that says a lot coming from me because I like the tiger stripe, you know. So, you know, that being said, at number 2, Wolverine.
Number 1.
And coming in at number 1, we have Nathan Summers, the Time Traveler, also known as Cable. And this was a figure when initially revealed had a lot of people excited and jumping out of their seats. This was actually going to be the first time that we had Cable in his Marvel vs. Capcom uniform. And I definitely do feel with the popularity of the Jada toys, specifically in their Street Fighter line, it was a perfect opportunity to get those mashups that we've always wanted in action figure form. So to see that Hasbro was going to be delivering us a Cable in his Marvel vs. Capcom uniform, it was definitely a contributing factor to the overall popularity and the overall reception of this figure. And Hasbro definitely did deliver, you know. I definitely do like the design on this Cable. One of the things that Hasbro implemented very well was the harness system on this Cable. When you do bend him forward or back, luckily you're not going to get his harness, you know, being bunched up or looking awkward in any shape or form. And I also really do like the fact that this figure is mainly pinless for the most part, which helps give it a very seamless and very clean look for this Cable, which was one of the driving factors of my infatuation and awe in this figure that made me pick it to be my number 1 actually. Now again, this figure unfortunately is not perfect. You know, it's not 100% pinless. On the right arm there are some pins in there, Now, one thing I did want to say that you could do to kind of help add on to your figure, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen it already if you haven't done it already to your cable as well. And one of those things happens to be that you can actually swap out the right hand with a Hercules hand or a Thunderstrike hand. They both work, and if you also want to add some pouches in there, you can also get a very 90s Rob Liefeld kind of looking cable as well. But I really like this cable, man. I think one of the polarizing factors that had a lot of people talking similarly to the Sabertooth was the head sculpt, man. You know, the digital printing that Hasbro has been doing as of lately is really fleshing out their action figures a lot more, and in my honest opinion, it overall makes the figure better. Luckily, Hasbro did also pay attention to the body as well. There is a lot of detail, a lot of sculpted line work, and you know, just a lot of different things to help bring out the figure, man. But I am overall very pleased with how this cable came out. I do like the fact that we did get the 2 additional guns, and you know, I also do like the light effect in his eye. I really just overall really like the execution of this figure, man. And I've only seen this figure once in a while. I was able to grab it. Up till now, I have never seen it again, so that should tell you something about this figure. And also because of the fact that, you know, Capcom just announced that they are going to be doing their Marvel vs. Capcom arcade, I can already tell you that, you know, the popularity for this figure, as far as, you know, people wanting it in demand, is probably going to be getting higher as time goes by. So grab it while you can. So again, at number 1, cable. So when all is said and done, this year of 2024 has definitely been the year of heat for Marvel Legends. They've been dropping a lot of phenomenal and superb figures that are just knocking the ball out of the park. They're definitely, you know, executing these figures very well, man. And I really do like, you know, the jump in quality. You know, the, you know, previous year before, you know, a lot of people in the community were complaining about, you know, the quality of Marvel Legends figures. So to see this, you know, jump in quality, you know, especially with the digital printing and the faces and the head sculpts and, you know, just more attention to detail, man. You know, this year is definitely a phenomenal year to pick up, you know, some very nice Marvel Legends, man. Hasbro has been definitely executing these figures very, very well, man. And I'm very happy that I was able to finally, you know, find 10 that I was actually really super excited about. You know, I haven't really been excited for Marvel Legends in quite some time. You know, I am a relatively new YouTuber, but I have been collecting for quite some time. So to see the quality improve overall in the majority of, you know, these figures, it's not to say that, you know, Hasbro is not gonna have their, you know, their crappy figures every now and then, but I definitely say that, you know, for the year of 2024, you know, they definitely did their thing, man, and I am looking forward to, you know, a lot more of the figures that they have yet to, you know, announce and to, you know, for me to get, you know. So with that being said, guys, thanks for checking out another episode of Packed in Action Figure Reviews, where we give you that action that's packed in. And before you guys go, I am gonna ask for one favor. If you guys like the content of what you've watched on this channel so far, please like and subscribe, as it tremendously helps out my channel and the YouTube algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it. Have a nice one. Stay blessed.